Hey, Killer Mike, right here rolling with Clay Milligan, one of the greatest racers in the world, and he's moving faster down this track than me at Walmart looking for Hot Wheels.
So easy around right here.
Hey folks, how y'all doing? Out here in the shop, me and the little rat dog Millie, my little rat dog, and there's a phone ringing right in the middle of my beginning of the video here. All right, let's try that again. That was Donna hunting her phone. So anyway, back here at the shop, and y'all know what it means when I'm at the shop. It is BabyD time. So here's what I'm working on. Y'all know this thing has a Silver Sport 6-speed in it. Came with great instructions as to how to find out where your shifter placement is. Well, I went for this whole time without actually ever really getting inside the truck, but I did the measurements. I actually got the shifter stub to come up through the factory hole. But the truth is, I got it too far forward. So you can see from right here, that's where the shifter goes. It's pretty much under the dash. So been talking to the folks at Silver Sport, and we're going to move this back a little bit and then figure out shifter location. All that being said, they sent me a package. Let me get out of the dark. They sent me a package, and we're going to take a look at what they sent me, and hopefully I can figure out how to do this without a whole lot of complications. So they sent this today. Hopefully I can do this. So I have to assume this just goes in, and we'll move our shifter from up here to back here. Let's hope it's that easy. I think it'll be that easy. We'll find out. BabyD, trying to hold the light and do this together. So I've got the transmission and the motor actually not on the transmission mount at the moment, but I was showing you how the shifter is basically right against the dash. And it's pretty cool. So I just took the plate off, and you can see there is 2 more positions that you can put the shifter, which is pretty dang cool. So it looks as though I can use that front hole right there to put, I don't know if I want to call it a shifter adapter, shifter relocation device, whatever it is that Silver Sport sent me. I think I'm going to try it right there and see how the shifter, if I can use this shifter, not have to have some other type of longer shifter, pistol grip type shifter, something. Now I really think that rear hole back there would super be cool, but you can see that when I jack the transmission back up, that would be under my floorboard, which would be, you know, not the end of the world for sure. But right now I haven't had to cut or do anything to put this Magnum, Silver Sport Magnum transmission in there. So this is the piece that came from Silver Sport I showed you, and you can use it in either of those hole locations. Oh, the other thing is they sent this nice little bronze bushing, so I've got to take out that plastic bushing and put this one in there. Obviously will hold up to beating and banging a little more. So let's see. Let's get this put in there and see what it looks like. Let's check it out. All right, y'all. I am like super pumped up because what I have been fretting over and worrying about, the guys at Silver Sport kept telling me, hey, we can fix where the shifter goes, and guess what? They were freaking right. Check that out. Boom, 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 boom. 5, 6 gears. All I had to do was listen to them. They know what they're talking about. So I put the piece in that I showed you. I still got to put a plate. So that's where it originally was. And they sent me the deal to move it. And again, there was another hole that would have been back here. But I think this is great. I think that works. Pretty freaking cool how all that works. I like it. I'm excited. Cannot wait. Rev her up, dump the clutch, snatch some gears, y'all. So cool. Freaking Silver Sport for the win. Magnum 6-speed. I just got this setting on there. 6-speed double overdrive in BabyD. I feel like that's a big step. I'm about to call the boys at Silver Sport and let them know that that works. Oh, man, them guys know what they're doing. I love it. Y'all know I can't do a BabyD video anymore without answering a few questions. So let's just, oh, by the way, had to grab the cheaters because I figured out how on YouTube Studio to just pull up questions. It's kind of cool. So let's just scroll through here. I hope I haven't answered some of these before. I just went like this and got near some older videos. Thought I would just go through here and answer a few. Let's do that, shall we? All right. Let's see. Brad Furman asks, how does Angry Hornet check the crankshaft for cracks while the crankshaft is in the block? That's a pretty good question, Brad, because if you lay a crank out on the ground or on the table and you look at it, you may not see any cracks. But when that bad boy's hot, cracks are open. And the other thing is, the cranks typically crack kind of all in the same spot. So you kind of know where to look to begin with. And then once you spot them, old Hornet, he keeps track if they stay the same or if they start to grow. And there's a number that when they reach that number, the crank comes out. Typically 8 runs, somewhere in that neighborhood, Brad, is where that crank is no longer usable. So good question. Let's see. How long has your crew chief been with you? So that is from Larry Hall. So Larry, Mike, and I, Mike Klober is my crew chief. He and I started working together when I started my career driving in the IHRA. He was my first crew chief. We worked together for many, many years, and then we kind of went our separate ways. And then a few years ago, we got back together, and it's been the greatest thing ever. I am having a blast working with Mike again. We're obviously both a little older. I've learned some tricks while he was not my crew chief, and he's learned some things as well. So I love working with Mike. Definitely one of my best friends in the world. And besides that, I think he's an awesome, awesome, great crew chief. Kova, do you get in other cars and feel like you're at crawling speed? Yes, I do. So the truth is, I don't really drive that fast on the highway. I'm not saying I drive perfectly. I'm not saying that at all, but nothing I drive is fast. So for me to go out and drive crazy reckless on the highway will not feel fast to me. So I'm pretty much a set the cruise control kind of guy and roll on down the road and kind of try and act right when I'm driving on the road. Everybody really should, that's for sure. The roads are so busy now. Let's see. JT Bree, would you ever want to drive a Pro Mod? I love Pro Mods. I think they're cool. Shoot, I would definitely love to drive one. Don't necessarily want to, do it full time. I love Top Fuel cars. That's always been my dream. But yeah, it'd be cool to make a pass in one of those things, no doubt about it. Roll on down here. What are they adjusting when you are staging? Can you explain the staging activity? That is from Alan Williford. So once we do the burnout and back up, what they are adjusting is engine idle. It's really important what the engine RPM is idling at in these cars. And once I get close to staging, Mike will do some adjustments on the barrel valve, maybe increase the fuel flow a little bit or turn it down a little bit. It's a video I did. You can go back and find on the barrel valve. It's a lot of information in that video, but engine RPM is a big part of what they're doing. Tony B, do they practice tearing down the motor and reassembling it so they can do it faster between rounds? Tony, yes they do. They typically do that more in the off season than during the season. During the season they're getting a lot of practice. We did some changes not that long ago. Moved some people around. You can catch that in one of the earlier videos as well, where we moved some people, put them in different spots. We are always trying to do it faster. I mean, it's pretty simple that the quicker you get it done, the more time you have to work on something if you have a problem. So yes, that practice typically does happen during the off season, but within the last 3 or 4 races, we moved some people around just to try to make things better and quicker. Trip Rogers, how does Clay's channel not have 3 million subscribers? I agree, Trip. How come it doesn't? But I do appreciate everybody watching, and I appreciate that the channel is growing. It means a lot to me. I have fun doing this. I know it is by far not the most slick production, the coolest thing ever done. I am actually using a GoPro right now because I have my phone in my hand. But the channel is growing, and it's because of you guys. I appreciate it. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. From Carl Sinden. Hey Clay, I have a question that may be obvious, but during the burnout, why is it that some fuel cars have a high-pitch engine note and others are more like a deep baritone sort of note? Is it the throttle stop, clutch, wheel speed? Thanks. So Carl, it is probably more about engine speed than anything. Some of the cars do burnouts at a lower engine RPM, some at higher. Been a lot of talk, I've talked a lot about not using a throttle stop, so ours probably kind of covers those bases because I love to roll into the throttle nice and slow, kind of clean the tires off out at the edge, and then as the speed comes up, the tires get narrower and narrower and narrower. Same time, the sound goes from that deep to a more high pitch as the RPM come up. Good question though. I think I may have answered this before, but I'm going to answer it again because it is a good question. So Gary Rice asked, why is the breaker bar on the front of the blower at the end of the round and at the shutdown area? Well, Gary, the reason is nitromethane is really a safe fuel. It's a solvent, actually, is what nitromethane is. You can throw a match into nitromethane and it almost will not light. It'll put the match out, actually. But if you squeeze it, then nitro becomes pretty dangerous stuff. So what we do is we put a big old breaker bar in the top blower pulley and we turn the motor backwards. That way, if we have a injector that's leaking, that nitro that has leaked on top of that piston, if you spun the motor over the correct way, it would come up on the compression stroke and squeeze the nitro and it could go off. I mean, it's violent if that happens. So we are constantly, not just us, all the teams are constantly rotating the engine backwards. And what that does is when the exhaust valve opens and the piston comes up and it's being turned backwards, it pushes that fuel into the header. That way, when you spin the motor over, that fuel is no longer in the combustion chamber. It's just in the header and it just blows it out. Good question, though. Anyway, guys, I so much appreciate you tuning in, watching, liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, all those things. Definitely appreciate it. I hope y'all enjoyed the BabyD content. Wasn't a whole lot in this one, but it was a big deal to me to get that shifter where it needs to be. The folks at Silver Sport have been more than accommodating, asking or letting me ask all these questions. It ain't just because it's me. You can call there and they'll answer your questions. But it's pretty cool. We got the old Tremec 6-speed shifter where I can bang some gears in that thing. So we're still waiting on some parts. And then I got to figure out what I'm going to do on wiring. But we're moving forward. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. See you soon.